So way back in March and April, I planted up flowers, vegetables, herbs in these jugs, set them out in the freezing cold in the snowbanks, and just left them there. Now we are at the end of May. The temperatures have been above 30 degrees Celsius all week, and it's time to open up these little mini greenhouses and see what kind of success rate we've had. So if this is your first time joining me on my channel, my name is Tracy and I'm a cold climate gardener living on the prairies in Saskatchewan, Canada. On my channel, I like to share how you can grow and garden 365 days of the year, no matter what climate you live in, no matter what the temperature is outside. Winter sowing is one of my favorite methods to use for starting seeds. It's a great way to get growing and gardening in the early spring before you can get outside. So today we're going to crack these open, see what worked, what didn't work. Also in this video, once we find some things that are ready to go into the garden, I'll show you how I transplant from the jugs into my garden. So I have 25 jugs that I started up this spring, and this whole pile here is ones that I started in March. This side here is ones that I started in April. So I'm going to start cracking these all open. We'll see who the winners are and who the losers are. Okay, so I have all of the jugs that I started in March ready to open up and check out. A couple things I just wanted to mention to you, a couple tips. That this red tuck tape, I think sometimes you can get it in blue, comes off so nicely compared to using duct tape, which usually gets all gummy and it's really hard to get off. Your jugs are pretty much, unusable. And if you wanted to recycle them, they're kind of messed up, so they're not very good for recycling. So as you can see here, after removing the red tuck tape, these are nice and clean. You could bag these all up and use them again next year. And also, if you want to recycle them, then they're nice and clean and ready to go. The other thing is to make sure that you mark inside what's inside, because a lot of these things from March have worn off. And if you put a little tag in the inside, then again, you know what you got planted in there. So let's start with the failures here. I was really disappointed actually with all the perennials that I was trying to get started using this method, because usually the winter sowing method is a great way to put those perennial type seeds through that stratification process. I even waited until mid-March. Usually did it in February, but I thought I'll wait till March. It's a little bit warmer, but like not super cold, like -30, -40, but it would still go through those freezing nights for 3 or 4 weeks like it should. But pretty disappointing. So that was my sedum. Artichoke, something's coming there, could be a weed. Sage, tried this using a snug. Looks like something's coming, but a little too little too late. Alyssum, another thing that I was really hoping to have a bunch of for my garden. I see one little green thing, but again, seeds start to blow into these, so don't be fooled by that. Delphinium, also a fail. Nice weed growing in there. What else we got here? This is coneflower, and it looks like we got one coming, so I'll just leave it in here for a while. Bunching onions, something that I thought was a hardy, cool, tolerant thing that should do well. I've always had good luck with onions. Nothing. And we got some butterfly mix, which is just a mixture of perennials. Got a few things coming here, but again, very small. So I'm just going to leave them in here for a few weeks, see if they're worth planting out. So this is kind of my failure patch here. I think there was 5 or 6 that nothing happened, but we'll get into some more of the successful bunch here. Again, we have a weed growing in my strawberry, and I am not really even confident that that's a strawberry plant, because it sure doesn't look like the other ones that I planted. Getting a little better here are some Cabernet red onions with something extra here. I don't know if that's a weed. If anybody knows what that is, let me know. So these are, they're not too bad. I can plant them out somewhere where I have a little space. These are like a red bulbing onion. Cilantro. I always start some of this for my garden, even though I don't like eating it. It's a good pollinator, attractor, attracts pollinators. So I will be sticking some cilantro here and there in my garden. Calyx, something I've never tried before. This is a cross between like a Brussels sprout and kale. So it falls into the brassica family. I got 2 of them going here. I'll probably try to get this planted up pretty soon. And what is this one? Oh, now we're getting into a little better. So this is one that surprised me, snapdragons, which are not, a perennial. They're an annual, but yet these, I started them in March, came up really good, which, I thought the perennials would do better than this. Again, they're pretty tiny though, so just going to leave them in here for a little while. I have them in a snug, so I made a snail, put it inside the jug so that when I unravel it, it should be a little easier to separate them. So I'm just going to leave them in here for another week or so to see if they can get a little bit bigger and stronger before planting them somewhere. So the big winner for the March plantings in my jugs was the lupins, and they are so beautiful. I've done these before in the winter sowing method, and yeah, for some reason lupins always seem to pop up. I got some weeds in here. I'm just taking them out. So this will go into a spot I have set up for perennials. I don't have a lot of luck with perennials, so this is why I thought maybe doing a winter sowing method would make them a little bit hardier. And so we'll plant those up pretty soon. So that's everything for my March winter sowing jugs. Let's check out the April ones. So another tip for winter sowing is when you are opening them up like I am here, it's probably the best to do it in the evening and kind of let them adjust overnight, because they're going from a very humid, warm environment to a very dry environment. At least they are here where I am on the prairies. So it can be a little bit of a shock for them. But I'm doing this in the morning, kind of in the shade, just because I wanted to be able to film it. So this is all of the April jugs that I started in this method. And it's looking to me like I have about 100% germination rate. This is actually peppermint from March, which is doing all right. So starting from probably the smallest, this is borage. It just started to show up here, and I want to be able to put this somewhere in my garden. So I will keep this in here, just keep it watered, and hopefully transplant it soon. Cosmos. I kind of focused on annuals, flowers that I could put into my garden that was saving space, trying to start indoors. This is a few of the cosmos. I think I spilled this or something because it kind of didn't come up, and now it's starting to show a bunch. So these are the cosmos. Zinnias, those are doing really good. I did them in a snail, so they should be easy to unravel and plant out. I also tried some herbs. So this is my thyme. Again, it's pretty small still, but I'm just going to keep it in here for a bit and then transplant it up in a week or so. Calendula, that's usually a good one. So that one came up really well. I probably will be planting that out pretty soon. A couple of other things I tried that I've never done before is lemon balm. Again, everything was a little bit slow, and I think, every year your spring temperatures make a difference. I don't know about you guys, but here on the prairies, and I know it a lot of places in North America, cold spring. We had winter, like 2 weeks ago we had snow, so everything I had to kind of keep covering it and uncovering it and trying to protect it, trying to help it with germination. I think that is a petunia, so again, very tiny yet. And what was my other? Oh, I guess this is probably the big winner, and that is some chamomile. So again, I did that in a snail method here, so when I unravel it, it should be easy to plant out. So yeah, so this is pretty much the results of my winter sowing this year. I think probably I will just go with, planting or starting these up later in April. I think for the for what I like to try growing in the winter sowing is usually like flowers, maybe some brassicas, herbs, things that don't need to go through stratification. If I don't have room indoors to start, I will continue using this method. This is what all the ones that I started in March are looking like. So not super great, but overall this has been fun. I enjoy doing this. If you go down to the description box below, I have a lot of cold climate gardening guides that you can download for free. So I will put these back into the sun, keep them watered, let them kind of harden off naturally here, and then I will start planting these out in my garden. Okay, so it is the following morning since we opened up the jugs here, and I'm just going to get my cabbages planted out here. I'm thinking I'm going to try 2 of them for sure. And then I have this calet. There's actually 2 plants in here. One's pretty small. So we're going to see how they come out of the containers. That's a little tricky sometimes getting these out. I'm going to just put a little bit of, this is just 444 all-purpose fertilizer. See what kind of root system we have here. There are different colors of cabbages in here. I'm not confident that these are all cabbage. So I'm just going to kind of pull it apart. Kind of make sure your soil is wet so that it comes out a little easier. Okay, so there is one cabbage. These are a giant mammoth cabbage. Well, it's pretty much all there is to planting it up. Sometimes if you have a whole bunch of seeds in here and it's very tight and the weeds or the roots are all kind of intertwined, it's a little harder to get them out, but I only planted a few in here, so that's not a problem. So I'll leave a little space here for cabbages to grow and spread. I will be netting this as well just to protect from all the pests that love your brassicas. That's one thing I learned, that you gotta protect them right at the get-go. Get a netting system over top, use maybe some de-earth or something to prevent those cabbage moths and those to come and lay their eggs, and those worms will start eating your leaves. And so this is a good time to let you know I do have a great pest control ebook that you can purchase. It is 38 pages of in-depth information on pest control, all the different types of pests that you can watch for if you live in a cold climate like I do, and as well as different organic ways to remedy pests. There's companion planting checklists, all sorts of information, all related to pest control that you can follow throughout the garden season. So just check that out in the link in the description box below. So we'll see how these calets do. I've never grown them before. If you've ever grown a calet, let me know. Kind of interested to see how they turn out. This one's just a tiny guy, so we'll see. So those are planted up. I will get some netting on top of these to protect them. And let's try unraveling a snug and see how it looks. Okay, so this is the first time testing out the snug method in the winter sowing jug. We got a snail with a bunch of calendula wrapped up in it. Started outdoors April 8th. See how it comes out of the jug. Check out those roots. There's one fell out already. So we'll get that one planted. See how these unravel. So this does make it very nice for planting, because I can then just go and grab one right out of here. It's got some nice healthy roots. Get them set up in my container ready to plant. So I think using a snug in a winter sowing jug is a great method, especially when you're planting a bunch of stuff that is probably going to get overseeded. The roots get all intertwined. It makes it hard to get them out of the jug. But this way, with the seedling snail method, everything's separated. Everything has its own healthy root system. So I'm going to give the snug a thumbs up. So let me know in the comments if you did some winter sowing this spring and what worked for you, what didn't. If you haven't tried it before, then I encourage you to check out my community Gardeners Growing Together, where we are talking about all sorts of different gardening techniques. Winter sowing will be on the agenda again next year for sure. So I hope you found this video helpful, and if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to my channel, and we will see you on the next video.